production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com.
PNC, committed to Central Ohio, for the achiever in you. From these contributing sponsors and viewers like you, thank you.
This time on Broad and High, we'll visit the studio of Columbus sculptor Woody Blackwell. And the ladies of Longford share a 19th century Scottish ballad. This and more right now on Broad and High. Welcome back to Broad and High. I'm WOSU producer Jackie Schaefer, filling in for Kate Quickle. The artist in our first story tonight has degrees in both art and biology, so it's no surprise that he's drawn to sculpting nature's creatures. And he does so by using discarded materials otherwise destined for the landfill. Woody Blackwell puts good use to items like flattened bottle caps, galvanized sheet steel, vintage advertising tins, and nails. Lots and lots of nails. The result is a decidedly modern sculpture that is fused with the patina of age. He welcomed us into his Franklinton studio to give us a glimpse into his process.
I make things from the natural world. I make birds, fish, whales, things along those lines. I make them out of metal over a wooden core, and my goal is to make them look like they're, say, 100 years old. Not necessarily made by an artist, but by someone who had an artistic eye, who just worked with whatever materials were at hand. Working with bottle caps is probably how I got started. We were walking across a parking lot, and there were some rusted bottle caps laying in a pile, and they were overlapping. And the way they were laying there just kind of suggested fish scales to me. And the proverbial light bulb went off, and I had to build a fish. I'd go out with my kids early on Sunday mornings, preferably when it was raining, and we'd collect rusted bottle caps in the worst part of town. And it was quite a lesson in sociology, I guess, to see where the bottle caps were found, the most of them, and what was found with them. It was kind of fun. Yeah, it scarred my kids badly, but it was fun. On some of the fish, like on the sunfish I make, I've made a number of them. If you know sunfish, they're generally no longer than your open hand, tiny little guys. But when you blow them up to 36, 38 inches, they're a wonderful canvas for playing with things like color and texture and contrast between the visual elements that are on there. So I started looking at these antique advertising tins and saw wonderful colors, great graphics, and saw a way I could play them off each other. And for me, they're just a lot of fun. Today I'm going to be working on a barn owl. My goal is to make it as anatomically correct as possible. Not just any barn owl, but an adult male barn owl, a little bit smaller than the female, and the North American subspecies. They're found on every continent except Antarctica, by the way. I'm sure you're dying to know that. But as with everything I build, the material that goes into the core is basswood, which is a native tree to Ohio. We'll bandsaw it to shape roughly, and then start working on the contours and form of the piece with a bandsaw. Once that is done, I can start putting finer details with grinding tools into the face to define the large features there. Then I can go in with hand tools, clean those up a bit more where I need to, work out the eyes, work out the edges of the beak. And once that's done, then I can start putting tin on some parts of the body, but we'll pretty quickly move to the wings. Hands down, my favorite part of the process when I'm building a a flying bird is putting the feathers on the wings. For me, that's when I'm starting to build the life into the piece. Playing a lot with rhythm and symmetry and quality of line. Just trying to capture those beautiful elements that the bird already has. The metal that I use on most of my projects is galvanized roof flashing, and that is zinc over a thin sheet of steel. If the stuff was brand new, it would be shiny as chrome, but I go at it with a big weed-burning propane torch and burn the zinc off. That takes it down to the steel, but it makes these gorgeous patterns in the steel. The nails that I use are coming out of an air gun, and they're all held together with a thin little skiff of plastic. And the heat turns the plastic black and ages the nails and make them look more pronounced. After that's all done and the piece is cooled off, then I can start applying paint. It's just acrylic paint. Apply it with a sponge, just again to give the appearance of age, patina, rust. I really appreciate the Japanese ethic of wabi-sabi, finding beauty in age and decay and things that are broken, well used, well worn. That's one of the things I'm trying to recreate, get a sense of when I make these things.
Visit WoodyBlackwellArt.com to see more of his sculpted steel creations. Columbus artist and doll maker Amber Groom says she both loathes and adores each of her handmade figurines. In our next story, she takes us along on her journey of creation, from the initial clay that gives them shape, to the decorative bits of ephemera that give them meaning, to the little box houses that give them a place to belong. Along the way, she shares the silent afflictions of the members of her collection and gives us insight into where she fits among them.
I feel like they're kind of beautiful, yet grotesque in a lot of ways. They started out very angsty, but they've evolved to be more of a whimsical sort of thing. They display a wide array of human emotions. They are a bit dark. A lot of people find them creepy. That I don't mind. I started very young drawing. I've always been inclined to artistic endeavors. My mom always encouraged it. It was a voice for me. I found that I identified through other people's artwork. I could really find my voice in other people's artwork, and I feel like that is a sacred communication with the artist and a viewer. I start out by sculpting the head, put together the body. It's all formed around a toothpick. They're meticulously sculpted. Then I put them in the oven and fire them. Then I use an assortment of lace remnants and little objects, found objects that I use for all to come together in detail. They're painted, the hair is applied, I construct the outfits. think that the act of doing them is very ritualistic for me. It is very calming and soothing to get involved in the detail. It acts almost as a catharsis in a lot of ways for some of the emotions that I'm bringing up and showing and portraying in the dolls. I decide what goes into a piece by my found objects and assortments of collections, little musings that are inspiring to me. I scoured thrift stores, flea markets, antique shops. A lot of people even donate little objects to me that they think that I'll like. I really like to indulge in my aesthetic, so a lot of the things that you see around me are collected through antique shops and whatnot. It's very important for me to surround myself with inspiring objects. I'm represented by the Lindsay Gallery. It's a wonderful gallery. They represent folk art and outsider art. It's my home base. I feel very comfortable there. I enjoy the other artists that are shown there. Duff Lindsay is an incredible representative for my work. I first brought it to him probably about 6 years ago, and he immediately saw value in him and had faith in the artwork. So I'm very happy to be there. I enjoy showing the artwork and identifying with other people. I've had a lot of women that particularly identify with the work that have even come to me in tears, expressing, and that's the most amazing thing to me, to be able to touch someone like that with the artwork. That would be the reason why I do it the most and why I enjoy it the most.
From the safety pins to the pine cones, there are many meanings behind the symbols Amber places in her doll boxes. Check out her artist page at lindsaygallery.com to learn more about their significance. Hilda Doyle has been singing and performing in Central Ohio for more than 50 years, and it has always been a family affair. She started performing with her brother in 1968, and her daughter started singing with her when they were mere tots back in the 1970s. In 2001, mother and daughters formed the Ladies of Longford, putting contemporary twists on traditional Celtic music. Here they are performing their version of the 19th century Scottish ballad, Baron's Heir.
Again I were a baron.
Visit ladiesoflongford.com or give them a follow on Facebook to see where you can find them playing live in Central Ohio. Now we head over to the North Market to sample the sweet confections at Cocoa Cat Bakery. Owner Melissa Camp specializes in making chocolates infused with herbs and spices and coming up with creative flavor combinations like cardamom and orange and Jamaican curry. She also donates a percentage of her proceeds to local cat welfare organizations, proving that her treats are made of sugar and spice and everything nice.
We are inside the North Market. We've been here for a little over 2.5 months. Cocoa Cat was born out of the idea that we would be raising money to help spay neuter cats in and around our community. I love to put really crazy spices and herbs into chocolate, things that you would never ever think go with chocolate. Now these are not your normal ordinary strawberries because they're dipped in white chocolate and dark chocolate, but then they're topped with things like toasted coconut with Jamaican curry. We have fresh rosemary and pistachio on top of dark chocolate, and hibiscus and candied orange chopped up and put onto a dark chocolate strawberry. We also have our ginger, cardamom, lime truffles. I kind of go with the flavors that I really like curries and particularly herbs. So we grow a lot of our herbs on our farm, but then we also have a lot of our spice combinations blended or purchase them directly from North Market Spices here in the market. Everything is very, very, very small batch and very handcrafted, such attention to detail. All the way to our Cocoa Kitty items, like Lego bricks with jelly bellies in them and little emoji poops.
These are the emoji poops, the biggest seller. They are made of solid chocolate. My name is Tosh and I am 9 years old. Well, I told my mom that not all kids like herbs and spices in their chocolate. So they are Lego bricks filled with jelly beans and then just solid chocolate. And these are the Lego bricks.
Columbus is definitely ready for all of these different combinations, and they're willing to try them. And that's the biggest thing. Are you willing to try my reckless abandon and kind of go to the edge of what you really think chocolate could be and should be? A lot of people just want plain chocolate. Well, we don't do that.
Finally tonight, a story from our friends at PBS in Sacramento, California. Aaron Simmons is a farrier, which means he forges shoes for horses. But not only that, he also makes the tools he uses to make the horseshoes. See how he is helping to maintain a centuries-old tradition.
There's steel that I have cussed. There's steel that I have praised. There's some steel that I'm still trying to figure out what to do with. Some steel has but to whisper and you know what to do with it. You get it a little bit hot and then, oh, okay, this steel is good for this job. I know what it's telling me. That's a relationship with the steel. It's telling me, okay, it's good for this, but maybe not for that. So I separate them based on the feedback I get. Their parameters are already set for me. I just have to work with it. For me, the actual craft puts an artistic stamp on your work that no machine can. Some of the curves and lines that your eye will see are not from machine work. It's from the delicate art that a person's hands deliver. I create what I see, what I feel. That's the artistic side of it. The item was always there. I just chipped away the parts that didn't need to be there. A lot of trial and error. You can only bend the rules so much before something breaks, and then you're starting all over again, you know? I can't tell whether the work found me or I found it. Became a farrier and a blacksmith sort of by necessity. I owned a horse and I did a lot of ranch work on the coast near San Luis, and it really nurtured my interest in livestock. It's just not as common anymore that one artist will do both trades, and that's me. Nowadays, most of the farriers, which is specific for horseshoeing, they don't do the blacksmithing work so much. They can make a shoe, which is common, but they won't make tools or hammers. It's become a lot more specialized craft. %90 of my tools are handmade. What we're looking at here is just a small portion of what I've come up with to make my trade a little easier. A lot of folks say, "Oh my gosh, you don't have to make this, you can go get it." Well, I want to make the one that will last me. I know what I put into mine, so I can vouch for it. I was born, they always say, about 150 years too late. I don't know why that is, but I think I would have done all right there. For me, it's a challenge to work with the items that I have and make the best of them. That's all. Make the best of what I got.
That's our show. You can find all our stories online at WOSU.org and give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're leaving you today with more local music by the Ghost Town Railroad. For all of us here at WOSU, I'm Jackie Schaefer. Be sure to join us back here next week for more great stories on Broad and High.
Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com.
PNC, committed to Central Ohio, for the achiever in you. From these contributing sponsors and viewers like you, thank you.